Imagine being 4 years old. You are taken from your home while your parents scream and beg. A soldier tells you they are not your real family. Your name is erased. Your language is forbidden. Your past is declared a lie. Years later, you discover the truth. You were never adopted. You were selected, not because of who you were, but because of how you looked. This was not a kidnapping ring. This was not a rogue experiment. This was a government program, backed by doctors, funded by the state, and designed to redesign humanity itself. It was called Lebensborn, and it may be one of the most chilling crimes ever committed by Nazi Germany. In the early 1930s, Nazi leaders became obsessed with a terrifying problem. Germany could win wars and still lose the future. Millions of German men had died in World War I. Birth rates were collapsing. To the Nazi leadership, this was not a social issue. It was an existential threat. Their solution was not equality, not immigration, and not peace. It was total control over reproduction. At the center of this belief was Heinrich Himmler, the head of the SS. Himmler believed race was destiny, and that the state had not only the right, but the obligation to decide who should reproduce. To him, biology was politics. In 1935, Himmler authorized the creation of Lebensborn, meaning fountain of life. Publicly, it was presented as a welfare organization supporting mothers and children. In reality, it was a state-run human selection system. Lebensborn established exclusive maternity homes, where only women who passed racial screening were allowed to give birth. Their ancestry was traced back generations. Doctors measured skulls, eye color, facial symmetry, hair texture, and physical proportions. Psychological evaluations were also conducted to assess obedience and temperament. Only women classified as racially valuable were accepted. Marriage was irrelevant. Consent was often irrelevant. SS officers were encouraged to father children outside wedlock because producing racially acceptable offspring was considered a patriotic duty. The Nazi state covered medical costs, legal protection, and secrecy. Birth records were altered or sealed. In many cases, mothers were pressured or coerced into surrendering their babies to SS families personally selected by the regime. These children were raised as ideological assets of the Reich, but Nazi leadership soon decided that controlled births were too slow. By the late 1930s, Lebensborn expanded beyond Germany's borders. As German forces occupied Europe, racial specialists followed behind the front lines. Their mission was not combat, it was identification. In occupied Poland, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, Norway, Ukraine, and parts of the Soviet Union, children were taken from orphanages, schools, hospitals, and private homes. Parents were often told their children were being medically examined or relocated for their own safety. Many never saw them again. The process was methodical. Children were photographed, stripped, measured, and documented. Eye color, hair color, skull shape, and facial features were recorded with clinical precision. Those who met Nazi racial criteria were labeled reclaimable. These children were transported to the Reich, renamed, and placed into German institutions or adopted by German families. Their native languages were banned. Speaking them was punished. They were told their parents were dead, had abandoned them, or were inferior people unworthy of love. Their memories were systematically erased and replaced with Nazi ideology. This process was called Germanization. SS documents openly referred to children as biological material. Those who failed racial examinations were deemed useless. Some were returned to occupied territories. Many were sent to forced labor camps. Thousands disappeared entirely. Poland alone is estimated to have lost up to 200,000 children through abduction and racial selection, many of whom were never recovered. Norway became one of the largest Lebensborn centers outside Germany. Nazi racial theorists believed Norwegians represented ideal Nordic stock. Approximately 12,000 children were born through Lebensborn facilities there. After the war, these children and their mothers were subjected to public humiliation, violence, and discrimination. Many children were institutionalized, beaten, or declared mentally unfit, not because of any medical condition, but because of their association with the Nazi regime. By the end of World War II, historians estimate that between 20,000 and 30,000 children were born or absorbed into the Lebensborn system. though the true number may be significantly higher due to destroyed records. When the Third Reich collapsed, Lebensborn vanished almost overnight. SS officials burned documents, hospitals denied involvement, doctors reinvented themselves as civilians. Courts struggled to define the crime. At the Nuremberg trials, Lebensborn was mentioned but never fully prosecuted. No major figure was executed specifically for running the program. The victims, however, carried the consequences for life. Many Lebensborn children grew up without knowing their true names, families, or national origins. Some discovered the truth decades later when archives were opened. Others learned they had been raised by families connected to the SS, sometimes by men involved in mass murder. Psychologists studying survivors describe lifelong identity trauma, depression, and a deep sense of being manufactured rather than born. Lebensborn proves something deeply unsettling. Genocide does not always look like mass graves. Sometimes it looks like nurseries, paperwork, and officials calmly deciding who deserves to exist. This was not a fringe project. It was official policy. And it stands as a warning of what happens when a state claims ownership over human life itself.